I love this! This is very good. While markets are enthusiastic that tariffs are going to be declared illegal, betting markets now seeing only an 18% chance that Donald Trump's emergency powers are going to stay. Just a few problems that you've got to know. First of all, the Supreme Court might be hearing arguments on tariffs today, but let's be real, they're not going to make a decision anytime soon. That's because of the way the Supreme Court's docket actually works. We'll have hearings now on many different topics and cases, but we won't actually end up hearing results until after the Supreme Court justices end up discussing or deliberating with each other the potential outcome, and then of course eventually voting on the legality of these tariffs. Now, Donald Trump knows that his odds of winning these IEEPA tariffs aren't looking so good. This is why we're likely to hear from Donald Trump how the economy is booming. The only reason there are uncertainties are because of the Democrat shutdown, which is his branding of it, of course. And we're obviously going to hear about some good job numbers this morning, which in fairness, the ADP report this morning was smashing. Heavily driven, mind you, by the West Coast, California, Washington, and large firm hiring, so relatively concentrated. Most of the country lost jobs, most businesses outside of large companies lost jobs, but we still ended up with a positive jobs read from the ADP private data collectors. Now, we don't have government layoffs included in there for, DOGE layoffs from February that would end up showing up in September, October data. We don't have that because the government shut down. But what we do have is enthusiasm compared to what we saw yesterday and some changes in the funding market. Quick note, I want to give you a heads up of I'll just transparently reveal to you what my goal was for today on the NASDAQ. This morning, the NASDAQ was negative when we were doing our market open and pre-market open course member live stream. The market was negative on the Qs, and my projection was that we will end up going positive, but not just that. I had a target of 627 for today and 630 for Friday. Now, knock on wood, we might not make it to 627, but we've gone from 618 to 624 already. So I know there are people in the course live that are like, bro, I've paid for my course many times over. So if you haven't checked it out yet, go check it out at meetkevin.com. You pay once, you get lifetime access, and it could be a tax write-off for you. But that was an example of what we forecast today. Part of that, mind you, some of the liquidity stress that we've seen over the last few days has begun to fade. Now, why has that faded? Well, probably because of the very sell-off that we had yesterday. Take a look at this. Funding stress yesterday almost fell back in line with the last week of October over here, actually slightly below it. Now, we still see repo usage, which we haven't seen repo usage until the last week of October. So we're still seeing some repo usage. But I think one of the reasons this fell so much yesterday is because there was so much selling in the stock market, you raised your liquidity from other ways. You literally raised $500 billion of stock market liquidity through selling. So what a surprise, you didn't have to go use $40 billion of the repo facilities. But I expect more volatility to come here. Now, did I go bullish today because of this repo number? No, because we had a sell-off. That's not a big deal. Were we bullish on the Alpha report this morning because of the tariffs? Only in part. I highly anticipate that these tariffs are going to be declared illegal, but I've made this clear for months. The Supreme Court's not going to rule on this until April to May. That's my expectation. It could be as early as February, so I could be wrong that it'll end up taking until April or May, but my assumption is we're not going to hear about it until April or May. Could come as soon as February, but it's not going to happen today. But what's happening is people are starting to see the arguments under the hood. And they're basically, like, the core crux of the argument comes down to, is the president allowed to tax without the authorization of Congress? Now, the Trump administration is making an argument that, no, we're not taxing. We're just using emergency powers to regulate foreign countries. The fact that they raise tariff revenue is just incidental to what we're doing. Now, John Sawyer, U.S. Solicitor General working for Trump, I have a few choice words for you. You're full of shit. I'm sorry, but let's be real. The whole damn point of tariffs is so Trump can go, look how much money we're raising. Now, I'm going to spend some of that on money for the companies bending the knee to me, money for people that I just pardoned that are going to invest in World Liberty Financial Token, money into whatever other things we want to spend money on, because we're going to show you how we uncorrupt Washington, D.C. because D.C. was mega corrupt before I got here. So let me show you how not corrupt it is now by allocating all this tariff revenue exactly where I want it. And then if you ask me why I pardoned certain scumbag frauds, I'll be very clear to tell you I have no idea who you're talking about. But anyway, Donald Trump's team, they're going to lose this argument. This is pretty obvious. It's obvious that tariffs are designed to raise revenue. Yes, if anything, I would actually argue that tariffs are primarily a protectionist tool designed to raise revenue and increase the ability for our American firms to manufacture, even though we're really not competitive on a global scale. And the actual byproduct is that you regulate, our relations with foreign powers. I think mostly this is, hey, we want to try to give a leg up to our manufacturers and we want to raise revenues. So I think they'll probably end up losing this argument here, almost certainly. Now, again, we won't hear about that until next year. And then, of course, a lot of us are saying hey, is this going to be a good thing, though? Is it going to be a bullish catalyst? Because after all, we're all looking for...
Bullish catalyst.
Yes and no. Yes, it's going to be a bullish catalyst in the sense that the tariffs are going to get struck down between February and May. However, Donald Trump's just going to use another section of the tax code or whatever. He'll move to Section 232 tariffs instead of IEEPA tariffs. And then you'll be right back at a 2-year court fight. And you're just going to have these tariffs for his entire administration. And it ain't going to be until he gets reamed by Democrats in 2028. And you get a Democrat president who on day one cancels all of Trump's stupid tariffs. That's when the tariffs will go away. Now, the problem is by then we could be in a pooper duper recession. Knock on wood, I hope not. So far, praise the Lord. So far, the labor market is doing okay. Now, let me show you Kevin's Bear Bull Scale, which you can get totally for free by going to meetkevin.com/data. It's the free page. Oh, look at this. I just got a $5 donation. Kevin, thanks for the alpha report and call on QQQ. I made 3x the membership fee today. Let's freaking go, dude. Let's go. I love hearing that. Thank you for saying that. That's really cool. So good for you. Congratulations. Really happy to hear that. Yeah, I mean, look, it was not a foregone conclusion that the market was going to go green today, but we enumerated all of our reasons as to why we thought the market was going to go green today. It's not like I'm just showing you market's going green today, boys and girls. Like, I put together all the information for you so you can make an informed decision. And that way also you can know, all right, if this, then that, right? That's kind of the important part, because I can't hold your hand all day long. So I gotta give you frameworks. Anyway, this is so the taco scale. I've got Trump at an 8 out of 8 on the taco scale as of today, because I discounted this a little bit because of the Canada situation. Keep in mind, this is at meetkevin.com/data. You can also sign up for the daily wealth email here. Dude, I'm getting so many emails from people going, thank you for these insights. These are free insights that you get on the daily wealth. They're really good. Honestly, we should charge for it. But if you want this for free, you could sign up for the Daily Wealth for free. You could either get that through the Meet Kevin app or email if you want. But anyway, on the Bear Bull Scale, so I've got the Bear Bull Scale at about a 5.7 right now, because I'm actually bullish corporate earnings outside of consumer discretionaries. We just have those underlying issues around liquidity, private credit, jobs. These are just lingering uncertainties that say, hey, these are real issues and that could end up being shocks, right? Which isn't great. But these could be shocks. Right now, like yesterday, I even tweeted this, but we went through the earnings in more detail in the Course Member Live this morning on AMD. I'm like, guys, these numbers on AMD are great. You have to understand, AMD is only doing 46% of their revenue from data centers. NVIDIA is doing 88% from data centers. So like their numbers can financially transform as they get into more data center, revenues with their OpenAI partnership. I mean, $100 million $100 billion over the next few years is a game changer to their revenues. They could be doubling revenues. It's insane. So they're like the fact that this was -4% yesterday and after hours, I'm like, this is dumb. AMD had good earnings, but whatever. So okay, so. The tariff catalyst, I think this is pretty clear. I think you understand where my head is on this. You could see some of the commentary on this. IEEPA was directly intended to constrain authority when it was passed in the 70s to restrain Nixon. But what's actually happening is Donald Trump is using IEEPA to expand his authorities. Justice John Roberts, who's actually usually a shill for Trump. Do I still have the sheet, or did I finally get rid of it? I think I finally got rid of it. Oh no, there it is. There it is. I found it. I knew I kept it. I knew it. John Roberts votes for Trump 74% of the time. Alito 95% of the time for Trump. Gorsuch 95% of the time for Trump. Kavanaugh 89% for Trump. Thomas 89% for Trump. Barrett 79% for Trump. And then, of course, Kagan, Sotomayor, and Jackson, they don't vote for Trump. Take a screenshot of this. Put this as, like, the background on your phone. Just get my fingers out of there. You don't need my fingers in there. There you go. Yeah, there. All right, cool. All right? Come on, man. But the problem is, this is just going too far, but they'll kick the can so far down the road, it won't feel like... It'll give Trump plenty of time to adjust. So then they talk about IEEPA being used to ban certain products, like from Iran or from Russia. Big deal. Alito asked whether the Supreme Court should address President Trump's authority to impose tariffs under authorities other than the law at issue. Oh, shit. Oh, Alito. Oh, that line right there. Y'all know AMD just reported earnings, and right after earnings, the stock was down like 4.7% in the after hours. It was nuts. Now, so far in the overnight, it's recovering, and hopefully it continues to recover tomorrow. But the question is it a good buy at these prices? And this is where what I like to do is jump into investing.com. They're a sponsor of the channel, and I'm super excited about it because if you get the Investing Pro Plus subscription, you can get a bonus coupon if you use code MeetKevin. Just use the link in the description down below or scan the QR code. You get 55% for the Black Friday early bird special plus an extra 15% when you use my coupon. But here's what I love. Number one, I'm going to watch EPS revisions after these earnings, okay? AMD only gets like 46% of their revenue from data centers. NVIDIA gets like 88% from data centers. So I want to see that data center revenue really butter out those OpEx expenses, operating expenses at AMD, increasing their margin, which they beat top line, bottom line margins. So I want to see EPS revisions, and then I want to see this change over time. Because if I take the forward earnings, which I can get from here, which is great, and I could look at 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. I calculate this at under a 2 peg, which to me means there's more upside for this chip designer, absent, of course, a credit crisis, a liquidity crisis, or a labor recession. Duh. But these were great numbers, and the fact that it's selling off means maybe there's a buying opportunity. But what I encourage you to do is explore the functional tools that the Investing Pro membership gives you, including the latest insights on the actual stock, their Warren AI product to help you understand the technical momentum indicators, and also the fundamental facts about the company. You can add it to your watch list, track those earnings revisions, watch what actually happened with earnings, EPS beats, revenue beats, you name it, guidance. Take it all from investing.com. Just use that link in the description, support the channel, support the sponsor of the channel. Go to investing.com and sign up for that Pro Plus subscription. Use code MeetKevin to get an extra 15% off. So thanks again to our sponsor, investing.com. Early bird Black Friday. Save 55% on the Investing Pro or Pro Plus subscription, plus 15% extra off if you use my code MeetKevin. That line right there.
Bullish catalyst.
Big PP.
Kevin is very talented, but I don't know if it's going to be him, but he's a very talented guy.
I think that Kevin's a brilliant guy, and I think that we'd all be very lucky to have him.
I love this. This is very good. This is fantastic. This is great. Look at this. Alito asked whether the Supreme Court should address the authority to impose tariffs under other rules, because that's literally what Trump is just going to do. I mean, you heard me just say it. You know, Trump's just going to go, all right, fine, you're going to take away my IEEPA tariffs? I'll use Section 232. And then look at this. They even write here, that would be unusual. And his question indicates he may think the administration is in trouble on the central issue in the case. Totally agree. Dude, bullish. Now that is something I can get behind.
Bullish catalyst.
I like that. What a badass. Wait, where's Alito? Alito. Survey says Alito votes in favor of Donald Trump 95% of the time. And Alito's pissed. Damn, bro. Oh, that ain't priced in. That's good. That's sexy. President is seeking power to set aside all of our trade treaties unilaterally under the word regulate. I just don't think it can bear weight. Yeah. Alito asked challengers what would happen if the president simply reimposed the tariffs using other authorities. At that point, we'd have that case. Right. Then you'd have to go litigate that for 2 years. That's my point. That's exactly the game plan. I have to say, though, I wasn't expecting the Supreme Court to potentially go, hey, do we also want to block all of his ability to add tariffs, especially since the arguments, against these tariffs are very clear. Tariffs are taxes. Our founders gave the power to tax to Congress. Major questions doctrine. Yeah. So honestly, that line right there, which just came out within the last few minutes while we've been recording this segment here, that is huge. So remember that the major questions doctrine is basically this legal principle that says Congress gives the power to enact very specific procedures like taxation or other things that aren't explicitly delegated to states or to the president. They go to Congress. And that's what's being sort of bypassed here. But that's a big line, man. I'm jumping up and down on the inside about that. But this is great. Very good. So, okay, listen. Now, we got to talk about the Federal Reserve a little bit. So we did have Myron this morning yap that even though the ADP report was a, quote, welcome surprise, he says, I would think it's still reasonable to continue to cut rates. Remember, he's been pushing for 50 basis point cuts over and over and again. This ADP report was good. It wasn't like mega broad based. So it does indicate that if we lose that sort of remaining support, if you will, you're going to have negative jobs very rapidly. So as much as I cheer the ADP report that we got, I want you to see just how tight it was. Because look, we got 42,000, which is great. But understand this, if you took away the 74,000 jobs created by large employers, mind you what we heard from Walmart freezing and hiring, Target laying off, Amazon laying off, right? You take away those large hirers, what happens to the report? Well, if you took away the 74,000 gain, you would be at negative 32,000 jobs. You'd be in recession. And this right here, most of those 74,000 jobs or most of the job gains actually came from the West Coast. And people hate the West Coast because it's deemed to be, the libtard West. I mean, I happen to be in the libtard West, I guess. I actually like where I live. But anyway, look at where the jobs are. It's almost all in the Pacific. 37,000 jobs in the Pacific. If you took away just the Pacific, you would have only created 3,000 jobs. So, like, as usual, as much as people dump on states like California, California is providing for the rest of the damn country. It is a donor state after all, right? And we provide more to the federal government than we take. We just have a dumbass governor that I tried to run against, but whatever, This is, by the way, that's me being politically neutral. Yeah, I mean, look at it. If you took away the West Coast, bro, this would be a horrible, horrible jobs report. So, good job, liberals. You gotta love them because they're providing for us once again. Got to give him credit where credit's due, okay? What am I? Am I a liberal? Am I a Republican? I have no idea what I am. I'm Kevin. That's what I am. I'm an American. Born in Germany, though. So does that make me less of an American? Oh, he's an immigrant. Oh, no. Let's deport his ass. Anyway, so, look. Myron begging for cuts? No shit. Like, of course that's what he's going to do. The jobs report, it was good. Okay, I said in yesterday's Alpha report that I will buy the dip tomorrow if the jobs report is above my, my thresholds. I did what I said I was going to do. Obviously, I sent that alert to people in the Alpha report as we do. Now, if I look at the odds of a rate cut in December, on December 10th, they have fallen from about 69% straight through 6-7, all the way down to 63%. So we only have, we've lost some odds of a Fed rate cut here. So, all right. So, jobs good, which is bearish bonds, but it's bullish the stock market. Now, do we have issues? Of course. The liquidity issues, the fears about valuations. I mean, look at what The Economist said. The Economist has this whole piece about how the share of U.S. household assets and stocks sits at 21%, which is basically a record high. Margin debts are at record high. We have $42 trillion in household wealth in the stock market. And if we had a stock market crash, the likes of the dot-com bubble of a 40% crash, we'd be in the dump really fast. The Buffett indicator is at the highest levels we've basically ever seen it, market cap to S&P 500. We've never been higher than this. Nobody knows a more expensive market than what we have here. But who cares? Because right now, those job numbers are good. Now, what's our next catalyst? The next catalyst.
Bullish catalyst.
Why do we want to know?
Because that's why.
Oh, because that's why. That's right. All right. The next catalyst really is government reopening, which is bearish. But until then, I think we can ride the coattails of this good jobs data and the hope that eventually these tariffs will be declared illegal, although Trump will kick and scream all the way to the, wherever you go when you go to tariff jail, I guess. Although he'll just pardon himself. But anyway, bullish through reopening. I don't think we're going to go with the nuclear option, but I do think we are getting somewhat closer to reopening, which is also bullish. Because if you take a look at even just what we're seeing at, let me give you some of the latest updates here on what we've got. Oh, by the way, quick shout outs. House Hack, I'm pretty sure we're now crossing 6 figures for the day. This is, I thought last month was going to be our biggest fundraising month for House Hack. It actually might be November if this pace keeps going. So anyway, shout out to those of you checking out househack.com, read the offering circular, or reinvest the same company. Donald Trump told Senate Republicans Wednesday the GOP would become a dead party if they don't get rid of the filibuster. The problem with that is Republicans realize if you get rid of the filibuster, the 60 vote requirement to get through this, Democrats are just going to hose you in 2029 when they take control, and then the Republicans have no filibuster to block this. Crazy. So, that's a big deal. And that's why Republicans are like, we could do that, but that would help Trump right now in his term, but it would screw us forever. That, because you limit the ability to basically block things you don't like. Which, remember, that's what Congress is designed to do. Nothing. They're designed to be a dysfunctional entity on purpose. The founding fathers wanted that. They wanted Congress to come together only when they truly needed to, because it at least somewhat limits the spending that government does. Somewhat. Of course, they still spend like drunk sailors, but then again, it's the federal government. And what happens over time as democracies mature, they become more democratic, they become more socialist. The Democrats obviously destroyed Republicans yesterday. Even Vivek said that. Big warning sign to the MAGAs. But people are going to get mad at me for saying MAGAs. Saying the MAGAs, I don't think is condescending. I think it's an observation. But anyway, to me, there is a risk of a substantial risk of the government just continuing to spend into deficits. But we're not going to have to pay that bill probably for another 20 years. There will be a fiscal crisis at some point in the future, and it will reduce our growth relative to, countries like China. But we don't have to pay that bill yet, so we can be bullish for a while. So I like that. I mean, broadly,
bullish catalyst.
The jobs report today, great. Are there still concerns around private credit? Absolutely. Are there still concerns around liquidity? Absolutely. Are there concerns about how crappily concentrated the jobs gains were in the libtard zone? Absolutely. Which is a problem, because you make too much fun of them and they stop hiring. We got no legs to stand on anymore. You kind of need them right now. And so maybe that's why we're seeing a little bit of a move back up on the 10-2 curve, back into shock territory around 53. But yeah, that gives you a little rundown of what the hell's going on in the market today. And come on, Q's, get to 627!
Why not advertise these things that you told us here? I feel like nobody else knows about this.
We'll try a little advertising and see how it goes.
Congratulations, man. You have done so much. People love you. People look up to you.
Kevin Paffrath there, financial analyst and YouTuber. Meet Kevin. Always great to get your take.